Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a little interesting thing that happened. Someone pulled up beside me and told me my wheels were wobbling. So I'm going to fix that, so sit back and enjoy the ride. So I was driving and I had someone pull up next to me, and they said that my right rear wheels were wobbling. So pulled over. As soon as it was safe, all my lug nuts were loose, and I had two of the studs have snapped off. So gonna be taking the wheels off. I'm going to replace all 8 wheel studs, because I figure where all of them were loose, they've all been stressed and run the risk of also snapping. So I'm going to be getting that fixed. So I've gone ahead and broken loose all the remaining 6 lug nuts. Now we need to jack the truck up. Now we have it jacked up, and it's on a jack stand as well as a jack because of the style of jack. And we just recently had these wheels off because we did the brakes, so they'll come off easily. Alright, so I don't know if this is going to show up on camera, but you can see all of these studs have a flat spot on them from where the tires were hitting them. So it's a good thing I decided to replace all of them. See if we can just drive them out. Well, that's disappointing. Alright, I was hoping that I'd be able to pull them out in this gap. But unfortunately I can't, which means that I need to take the caliper off, take the rotor off, because the bolts that hold this to the rotor are inside the rotor, which means I also need to take the axle off. So that's disappointing. Alright, so we just set that up out of the way. And we need to pull the axle. And those were 19 millimeter. Oh, and those were 18 millimeter on that caliper. These are 15. Before I loosen this last one, let me go grab a bucket because you will have differential fluid coming out of it. Using these pans, don't forget to remove your plug. Otherwise you end up with a giant mess to put your fingers in. Light little taps. Wipe the axle down as you pull it out. Set that aside. Now we need a castle nut tool to take those out. So there's that off. Now you need to be careful of the outer bearings as you slide it forward. So there's the outer bearings. Now there will be some axle fluid inside, so you want to tip that up to drain it. And then inside you have your bolts that hold this extension onto the rear rotor. And hopefully where these just were taken off, that they come out easily. They are 15 millimeter. And then, like I said, because I just had it off, this comes off real easy. Before I had to tap it off to get it to come off. I can see some debris fell in here. You need to get that out. And then all this because these wouldn't come out. They were 1/4 inch too long. Pop them all out. Take the new ones, and they just have a serration on them. There's no right or wrong way to get them in. They'll cut their own grooves. And these are M14 by 2. So they're a metric bolt. Okay, Eric, what'd you do with the other one? Lose my mind if it wasn't attached. Wasn't attached. Wasn't attached. I'd lose my mind if it wasn't attached. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Alright, so normally if you could have gotten it in with this on, you would have used the lugs to get them to seat, but since I have access to the back, I can hammer them in. And that's that. Those are in. Out your brake rotor goes back on. Get them all started by hand before you start tightening anything. Don't want them cross-threading or being in the wrong position, so that you can't get them all in. And you run them down. Alright, then you're going to want to torque these. Alright, so now that we got them torqued, time to reassemble everything. Make sure there's no dirt. Take your wheel bearing. Now, if you're reusing your old bearings, it's a different spec than it is on if you were doing new bearings. So you torque that to 60 foot-pounds. And then because I'm reusing the old bearing, you have to back it off 7 clicks. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then that's situated and done. Then you take your axle, slide that puppy back in, make sure there's no dirt on it. You may or may not need to play with it to get the splines to line up in the differential. Then your axle bolts, get them all started by hand. If you're reusing your existing bearing, you don't need to worry about oiling it. If you're doing new bearings, you want to give them a light coat of oil, rear axle fluid, even a light coating of grease, just so that they're not dry when you first start moving the vehicle. Get those all run down. You want to get those torqued. And we can get our brake caliper back on. Get those bolts started by hand. ready to put the wheels back on. All right, so something that needs to be addressed quickly. You can see how, because it was loose, my bolt holes are egg-shaped. I do have some new rims, so I'll have to bring this and get the tires swapped over onto the new rims. So just keep that in mind, that most likely that's going to happen. If your lug nuts come loose, all your holes are going to be egg-shaped. Like I said, you can see here that that big gouge right there from, you can see right there the big gouge from the wheels slapping into the lugs as it was driving, and you go in reverse and forward, it just slams back and forth. So damaging these, which is why the two broke, and damaging your rims. So there's one. And then when you're putting your outer one on, you want to be mindful of where the fill is on the inner tire, so that you want to make sure that you can reach it through one of the holes in the outer rim. So you can see, hopefully in the shadows, it's right there. You can reach right through this hole. And I got some new lug nuts to go along with it. And these are 21mm. And then you want to torque these down to 160 foot-pounds. Okay, so there you have it. That's changing the rear wheel studs on your 2000 F350 Dulley. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, God bless. Have a wonderful day.